something strange was happening in Britain's retail parks. For decades, two DIY retail giants, one wearing green and the other in orange, had dominated the home improvement market. But recently, one of them had started acting weird. The name was the same, the logo hadn't changed, but everything else felt like it had been rearranged by someone who'd never actually set foot in the place before. Gone were the cozy lighting aisles and smart home showrooms, and in came towering barbecues, unfamiliar outdoor gear, and a layout so bizarre it felt like someone had tried to recreate a British DIY shop using only secondhand instructions and a blurry photo of an Australian's garden shed. Meanwhile, the orange brand was steadily tightening its grip on the market, while its competitor kept switching strategies like hats, hoping something would finally stick. These guys found a formula that worked early on and stuck with it confidently like it had always belonged. This is the retail saga of how Britain's biggest home improvement giant pulled ahead, stayed ahead, and crushed its competition with the slow power of smart decisions, steady hands, and a surprisingly stylish bucket of emulsion. To understand how it all came together, we need to rewind to 1969. In Southampton, two guys, Richard Block and David Quayle, opened a single shop built around a simple idea. Make it easier for everyday people to fix up their homes without hiring professionals. It was DIY made accessible, and the timing couldn't have been better. They called it B and Q using their initials, and while the branding was bare bones, the concept hit the mark perfectly. By the 1970s, Britain was deep in a DIY obsession. With home ownership on the rise and interest rates all over the place, people stopped calling in builders and started picking up hammers themselves. B&Q saw the moment and ran with it. Their shops were massive, utilitarian spaces packed with raw materials, the scent of sawdust, and the promise that anyone could build something from scratch. While other retailers focused on polish and presentation, B&Q leaned into the raw warehouse-style experience. They stacked products high, priced them low, and made it easy to knock out a weekend project without breaking the bank. That approach resonated, and the brand quickly spread across the country. By the late 70s and early 80s, Sainsbury's saw the DIY boom and decided it wanted a piece of the action. That's when Homebase was born, a direct competitor to B&Q, but with a very different vibe. Instead of the no-nonsense industrial approach, Homebase focused on presentation and comfort. Their shops were more thoughtfully laid out, the branding was sleeker, and the product mix blended power tools with home decor. You could grab a cordless drill and a designer cushion in the same trip. It was DIY with a softer touch, designed to appeal to families, first-time homeowners, and anyone who wanted their toolbox to come with a side of style. All through the 80s and 90s, B&Q and Homebase were locked in a fierce battle for DIY supremacy. B&Q attracted the practical, no-nonsense crowd, while Homebase carved out a niche with customers who wanted their renovations to come with a bit more polish. Both brands expanded, both pulled in solid profits, but behind the scenes, their paths were starting to drift apart. What gave B&Q a serious edge was its backing. Their parent company, Kingfisher, also owned Screwfix, which was the go-to choice for builders, electricians, and plumbers for everything they might need. Kingfisher had both ends of the market locked down. B&Q catered to the weekend warriors, while Screwfix was there for the pros who needed to grab materials before most people had their first coffee. Homebase never had the same kind of support system behind it. By the early 2000s, it was already losing its footing. After Sainsbury's sold the business, it changed hands several times. First to Schroeder Ventures, then to the Home Retail Group, which also owned Argos and Habitat. Each new owner came in with a different vision, each one eager to refresh the brand with a new strategy or identity. But instead of moving forward, Homebase started to feel increasingly disjointed. It became a patchwork of half-finished ideas, part catalog shop, part lifestyle brand, part traditional DIY retailer, all stitched together without a clear sense of what it was meant to be. Then, in 2016, things went from confused to catastrophic. Wesfarmers had entered the picture, an Australian retail heavyweight best known for running Bunnings Warehouse, which is basically the Aussie version of B&Q, only bigger, louder, and even more aggressive on price. In Australia, Bunnings is highly successful with a formula that works incredibly well for the local Australian market. So when Wesfarmers acquired Homebase for £340 million in 2016, they figured it was the perfect opportunity to export that same success to the UK. They saw Homebase as a blank canvas and set out to bring the full Bunnings experience across the globe. What followed, though, was one of the most baffling retail misfires in recent memory. Wesfarmers came in and gutted the departments that British shoppers actually came for, like kitchens, bathrooms, and furniture, and ditched key partnerships with brands such as Laura Ashley and Habitat. In their place came barbecues, power tools, and unfamiliar Australian product lines that didn't exactly scream British springtime. While the Homebase name stayed on the outside for most locations, the inside told a completely different story. Shop layouts were overhauled, staff were retrained by incoming Aussie managers, and the whole experience started to feel like a foreign import disguised as something familiar. Imagine popping in for a couple of couch cushions and being told the best they can do is a camping stove and a slab of kangaroo jerky. The whole experiment left customers bewildered and staff completely deflated. Sales collapsed, and within just 2 years, Wesfarmers had racked up losses of over £200 million. Eager to cut their losses, they sold Homebase in 2018 to a turnaround firm for the symbolic price of £1. While Homebase was being flipped for pocket change after a disastrous makeover, B&Q was quietly pulling further ahead. They'd already weathered the worst of the mid-2010s retail downturn. They'd invested in click and collect before it was cool. They expanded their online range. They leaned into their partnership with Screwfix, improving their logistics and supply chain efficiency. And they rolled out new shop formats like mini B&Qs inside Asda supermarkets, urban shops with curated ranges, as well as seasonal pop-ups. When the pandemic hit and the country went into lockdown, DIY suddenly became a national obsession again. With people stuck at home and surrounded by half-finished projects, crooked shelves, and peeling paint, the urge to fix things kicked in fast. B&Q scaled up, kept their website running smoothly, and maintained a delivery network that could handle the rush. More importantly, they already had the trust of millions who knew exactly where to turn when they needed tools, materials, or a little home improvement motivation. Homebase, to their credit, made some serious effort to recover. Under Hilco's ownership, some of the worst decisions were reversed. Kitchens were reintroduced, shop layouts were improved, and the familiar Homebase vibe was restored. But years of inconsistency had already worn down customer loyalty. In online communities and DIY circles, the sentiment was clear. People missed the old Homebase but didn't quite trust the new one. If B&Q was the friend you could always count on, Homebase had become that one mate who kept disappearing, then showing up with a new accent and personality every 6 months. Today, B&Q operates more than 300 shops across the UK and continues to dominate both the DIY and trade markets, thanks in large part to its connection with Screwfix. The brand has successfully built a strong online presence while also adapting its physical stores to meet evolving shopping habits. Homebase, by comparison, has fewer than 170 locations. It's no longer in freefall, but it's also not setting the pace, holding steady, but firmly in second place. And that's the heart of this story. B&Q got ahead by knowing their customer. They stayed consistent, then improved gradually. They refined, adjusted, and played the long game. Homebase, on the other hand, spent years trying to figure out who it wanted to be. A bit of Argos here, a bit of Habitat there, then suddenly, Crocodile Dundee with a leaf blower. It lost focus, lost trust, and lost market share. B&Q understood that from day one. They weren't always perfect, but they always knew what lane they were in. So next time you're in B&Q, surrounded by wall plugs, paint samples, and the low hum of electric saws, take a second. You're standing in the middle of one of the most quietly ruthless business wins in British retail, all achieved without shouting, just showing up again and again and letting the orange speak for itself. But what do you reckon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell so you don't miss any more proper deep dives like this one. Cheers for watching, and we'll catch you next time.